Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel for another Flea Market Finds episode. This is going to be stuff that I picked on October 4th at the Fall Tractor Show down in Connecticut. Got quite a few interesting items, so I'm going to reposition the camera and we'll dive right in. So the first item is this motorcycle jacket that I picked up for 10 bucks. This is something I'm pretty sure wouldn't have probably been around very long. Luckily, I was right there early in the morning when the dealer who had this had just hung this up. And I was actually kind of surprised when I asked him how much, and he said 10 bucks. Now, that being said, it's not a vintage one, it's not a high dollar one, but it's actually in really great shape. Over here it says live to ride, ride to live. And it's definitely a motorcycle jacket, not just because it says that, but I can feel that it has, right here in the elbow section, it's got the built-in pads to help with road rash in case you lay your bike down. And also in the back here, I can feel this reinforcement. I checked the zipper, it works perfectly fine. It's in great shape. It's very clean. It's made in Pakistan. It is a 3XL, so it's pretty big. And the name of this thing is a Fun Rider jacket. But I mean, again, for 10 bucks, I couldn't pass it up. Off the same guy that I got the motorcycle jacket from, he knows that I buy machinist tools, and he had these items. And I actually wasn't too excited about the micrometers because I've got so many of them. This is a Mitutoyo. It's a 10th micrometer. It's got a working ratchet on it. It's got carbide faces. It's kind of dingy looking, but it's a good usable micrometer, and this happens to be a 2 to 3 inch. And this one here is a 5 to 6 inch, looks like a Brown and Sharp. Pretty sure that's what this is going to be if I take this sticker off. Yeah, I think under the for reference only sticker, it's probably a Brown and Sharp. I'm not even going to bother checking it. And the last of the micrometers is this old Starrett 0 to 1 inch. And it's got carbide faces, lock works. A little stiff, but it's got that style friction thimble. Again, good cheap usable micrometer for somebody. The main thing I liked about this lot was, and again, if I didn't say it already, I paid $40 for the lot. The main thing I was going after was this Giraud Tast Swiss-made indicator, which I have a lot of indicators, so no big deal. But what I liked about this one is that it is a vertical style. So this is the style that the face is perpendicular to the long axis of the body of the indicator. And I recently had one of my buyers asking if I had any more of these, and this one is working beautifully. And this is a half thou resolution one, so it's 0.0005. And these Giraud Swiss-made indicators are very good quality. The problem, my understanding is the main issue with these now is because they're no longer made. If you need parts, you can't get them. Just getting a little bit closer look here. See, the dovetails are in excellent shape. And it works perfectly. It's a bi-directional, and it's the original case, and there's even a the little tool is in there for removing the point, for removing the tip, and there are a couple of different mounts here. These will slide onto the dovetail and give you different sized mounts, I guess. And then there's also an extra tip in there, which is nice. And you know, if I'm into this for 20 bucks, then I'm only into the 3 mics for 20 more. Another gentleman had these new old stock Stanley punches out there on his table for, let's see, he had, oddly enough, prices were all over the place on these. So let's start with the fact that he had these 3 right here are all Stanley 3/16 pinch punches. But he had $5 on this one, $6 on this one, and $3 on this one. And then he had $5 on this 1/8 inch Stanley punch. And in the end, we decided that he would take 12 bucks for all four. So I'm into these for 3 bucks a piece. And I think there was a Starrett punch that he threw in. Yeah, here it is, left in the car. This is a Starrett 248B, long pin punch, brand new old stock, in the original envelope there. So that was a really good deal, 12 bucks for those 5 punches. Another dealer I see there quite often, usually doesn't have too much machinist stuff. He happened to have this 3-jaw chuck sitting there, and I looked at it and realized it's a Bison chuck. So it's actually a pretty decent quality chuck. It has no backing plate, but you can buy backing plates online. There's a website, I think it's called the Little Machine Shop or something like that. The guy actually has a lot of backing plates that you can buy, and what you actually do is you buy the backing plate that mounts to your spindle on your lathe, and then you literally put it on the lathe and turn it down to the diameter you need to fit the chuck that you want to mount on it. But anyways, Bison chuck. Actually thought it was going to be more expensive. He said 20 bucks, and I said sure, and he said take the faceplate, it goes with it, because this faceplate was with it when he got it, but the faceplate is it's just a threaded faceplate, and it sure as heck looks like it's for a wood lathe. Oh, so I forgot all about this microphone. This is a Uniden stock mic for a Uniden mobile CB radio, and this was at the table where the guy had the punches that I got for 12 bucks. And I asked about the microphone, and he says, he says, go ahead and take it. I got no use for it. So free microphone included with the great deal on the punches. And then one of the regulars that I see there, Roger, didn't really have too much machinist-wise for me this trip, but he did have this little Starrett mini clamp. I think he had a few of these that I'd bought before, and this one probably just showed up later. But it is a genuine little Starrett clamp, and I got plenty of these. But I got this unusual item here and this for 10 bucks. He had priced this at 10 bucks. And it caught my eye. He called this a circle scribe. He thought that this had something to do with being able to scribe circles because of the way that this adjusts. Give you a better look at this thing. So what we've got is we've got this beam right here that has a sharp point, scribing point set in the end, and we can loosen this thumb screw, and that allows us to move this in and out. So we've got a little bit of an adjustment here, and then also we have a more coarse adjustment. This plate right here has extra screw holes, so right now it's in the extended all the way out. If we move it over one more, that'll move it in, you know, this distance. And then you could actually theoretically even move it in one more and just have this one screw going through here, and it would be much smaller. That being said, I don't believe it has anything to do with circles. I believe it's an edge scriber. It has a little like button on the end here. Okay, and so I think the idea would be, I had something with a straight edge here, we'll just use this. Pretend this is a board, and I want to scribe along, I want to scribe a line parallel to this edge, like say for doing a tenon or something. Well, I could just hold this up against here like that and drag this along, and I'm going to scribe a line that distance, right? And then I could adjust it accordingly. But hey, why bother guessing? Now that I am home, I can get a better look at this thing and see if we can't find one online. As neat as I thought this thing was, I just have a feeling that it's not going to be tremendously valuable. But we don't always buy things for what they're worth. Sometimes we buy them just because they interest us. And this says J.H. Glover Company, Chicago, Airway. Well, that was easy. So this is known as the J.H. Glover Airway Polyphase Scriber. I don't know why it's being called Polyphase, but in all the listings, or many of them, it's being called the Polyphase Scriber. And this beautiful work of art is not worth much at all. Some with the original packaging, or the little like box that it came in, cardboard box, have sold for only like $16, and one sold for a whole $6 loose like this, and then another one for 12. So yeah, shouldn't have bought this for 10, but actually I didn't. I did get the, after all, I did get the little, that's worth $5 right there, the Starrett clamp. So at least it is to me. And I'm moving along. Haven't seen any of these in a while, and a guy had two of them. These right here are these unique little torque drivers that are used primarily by jewelers or clock repair people. So they are pretty rudimentary as far as how they work. They've got a spring tension in them. So as you're tightening whatever you're tightening, and it stops, the screw starts to give resistance, this will actually turn. So these were last calibrated in 1995. This is the style that's got the chuck on it. Somebody's got a bit in there, driver bit in there. And this one is a Waters manufacturing one. It also has the smaller chuck style on it. I think the last ones of these I sold, I got somewhere around 25 each for them. So I don't want to pay too much. When I asked him initially how much he wanted for them, he was looking for like $30 each on these. And in the end, we settled on 30 for the pair. We had a pretty candid conversation, and I explained to him, I said, I'm buying them for resale. I know what I can get for them. I said, I'm going to be trying to get, 25, 30 a piece for them myself. So he said, well, can you pay me? I said, honestly, I said, I give you 15 a piece for them, $30. And he said, take them. He says, I'm not going to use them. Another early buy, first thing in the morning, that a few of the toy guys who were walking around saw that I had gotten in. We all agreed it wasn't like I had scored some really rare stuff, but the price was right. What I ended up buying was 17 of these die-cast vehicles for $150. They're all brand new old stock. All of them, except for this one, all of them are Winross. Quite a few of them were in these style boxes like this, which my understanding from the guys that I talked to there, these are the later ones. And the majority of them were this style here of box. And what these are in particular is these are all semi-tractor trailers. So each one of these tractor trailers has a different advertising or company associated with it. This one happens to be a NASCAR team I'm not familiar with. But oddly enough, apparently some of the more desirable ones are ones that are associated with freight hauling companies. So like this one right here is a Rich's Reefer. So this is a refrigerated truck. I'm not going to open these all up. You get the general gist of it. These are a little easier to open. So here's a very fine foods. They make the apple juice and stuff. Here's R.C. Moore, Coast to Coast. So like I said, there was 17 of them, so at $10 a piece, that's $170. But he settled for $150 because he knew if he didn't, he knew that a lot of guys aren't going to want to buy the whole lot, and he wanted to just be out of them, sold out right away, right? Associated Transport Inc. All right. So you're wondering where the rest of them are. I sold them. I sold them before I left the show. After I learned that these weren't the buy of the century, so to speak, I figured, well, I'm going to have to put them on eBay to sell them. So if I make just a little bit on each one, I'd be happy. So the first one I sold to a dealer who collects these, and I let him buy one of the ones he didn't have from me for $20. And then I went back later and I sold him the rest of what I had. He would have bought everything I had. He would have bought all of these from me, except he ran out of money. He was short on cash. So anyway, so like I said, I've got 5 of those left. And then the only one I didn't bring over and show him, because I decided I might just keep this for myself, is this is an Ertl truck. This is a 1939 Dodge Airflow truck. So I just thought this was kind of neat. Kind of give you a look at that. And again, I haven't looked up this. I have no idea what it's worth, but I just thought maybe I'd keep it for myself. Not that I really collect trucks, but I don't know. Who am I kidding? I'm going to sell it. Either that or my widow is going to have to sell it, or my kids, whatever. Also, if you're wondering what I sold the other trucks for, I ended up selling him a batch more for 20 a piece, probably like 4 or 5, and then there were some other ones he was kind of on the fence about, and I said, I tell you what, you can take any of those that are left for 15 a piece, at which point he bought, like I said, he bought until he was out of money. So I'm up right now a little bit on those, but anything I get for the rest of these is going to be pure profit. Unfortunately, those are probably only going to bring around 15 or 20 a piece on eBay, and I'm going to have to go through the trouble of listing them. It's going to be a pain in the butt. So it would have been great if I could have just unloaded them all right there and then, but c'est la vie. All right. At another dealer, I found these 3 items here. I ended up giving $10 for this Greenlee number 737 knockout punch. This is a large knockout punch This is for making holes in electrical boxes for conduit connectors to go through. And so that's like probably more for like commercial use or maybe service entry, I don't know. But anyways, I got that for 10, and then he had this other one there. I don't remember if this is a set. Sometimes these cases have more than one in them, so they, you know, like multiple sizes in a case. I know that one's only got the one size in it. Yeah, see, this one here is a set, so it's actually got I got 1, 2, and some extra size cups there. And he had a box with some plumb bobs in it, and they were all pretty generic. But this brass one caught my eye. It's a nice one. It's a General. I don't really see the number on it, and I don't have my glasses on, but I only usually try and give $5 for these, and he was sticking to his guns at $10, so I think I ended up paying 10 or maybe 8. A little out of my comfort zone. Be lucky if I make any money on this at all. That's a little out of my comfort zone, but yeah, that's okay. When I was walking along, I saw a box on the ground in front of a dealer's table there, and I spotted this, and ended up being one of the best buys of the day, actually. This is a Sony, I don't know why it's got all like sawdust or something all over it, but this is a Sony ICF 2010 shortwave radio. And these actually were really nice radios back in the day, and they still have some collectability. So if they're in good shape, they're nice to have. This has batteries still in it, and I believe they are dead. Yeah, it's got dead batteries in it, so we'll take those out so they don't leak all over the place. But I asked the guy how much for the radio, and he said $5. And then I looked in the box, and I said, hey, if I take the 2 of them for $5, will you throw in the third one, the small one? He said, sure. So for $10, I got not one of these, but 2 identical, both with the battery doors still present. Batteries in there, but not all corroded, not turning on. And this little Grundig that originally I wasn't even going to bother with, but when I realized I could get a deal going, sure enough, I got the Grundig for free. So I'm into these for $5 a piece. Even for parts radios alone, these are going to be worth significantly more than that on eBay. I probably can get $25 a piece for these on eBay, and if they work, maybe even more. And as cool as it is to have not 1 but 2 of these, with the carrying straps on them, with the battery doors not missing. On top of that, one of these appears to be even a original Sony AC adapter for the darn thing. Although this does say 4.5 volt. That's kind of surprising to me. Why would that be so low? That's exactly what it is. Wow. So the other one, the other adapter, unfortunately the data plate's missing on it, so I don't know what that's putting out for voltage. Hopefully it's not something... Well, it is plugged into the radio already, so somebody was trying to power this radio off of this. Another thing about these Sony shortwaves is that they have good antennas on them that aren't broken off. These often get broken off, which is another issue you have to deal with. So let's see what happens. Alright, plug in an AC adapter. Now there is a main power switch on the side here, and that is already in the on position. Yeah, unfortunately, nothing is happening. Alright, let's set that one aside. Could have a bad AC adapter. Let's try this one. Make sure the main power switch is on. It is. Okay. These both appear to be dead. What if these came out of a repair shop? It might explain why the guy would have two identical radios that aren't working. Could have been in the guy's parts bin. Well, I just grabbed my voltmeter and I tested. Both of these AC adapters are putting out 5 volts, which is correct. So it's not the AC adapters, which would have been an easy fix. Just get a new adapter. So something else is going on. So this appears to use 3 D-size batteries and 2 AA batteries. I'm guessing the AA batteries are just for the memory functions. That's interesting. All these batteries are good. Well, at some point I'm going to have to do a video and troubleshoot what the heck's going on with these things, because I just can't leave. I can't leave this alone. I got to figure out why on earth these radios. This one's really kind of dirty and grungy looking. So this one I'm not surprised that maybe it doesn't work, but this one looks clean as a whistle. So this one has dead batteries in it. Alright, well, enough of those. Let's see if the little Grundig works. Well, I don't have an AC adapter for this Grundig, and this uses 2 C-size batteries, which are dead. Oh, the bottom of the cardboard box that the radios came in, there's the little data plate for the other AC adapter, so that is a genuine Sony adapter. Have to glue that back on. Well, grabbed some C-size batteries out of my battery drawer, and lo and behold, it's working. Let's see if we can't pick up a station on FM. Alright, so FM band works, but the main reason people buy these little Grundigs is for the shortwave capability that these have. I don't know what I hit, but I just switched to 2.3 megahertz. 2.3 kilohertz, I should say. I just not wearing my glasses. Oh, I see. There's a band switch right here. Not getting anything on that band. Okay, so it looks like there's only 3 band settings. Oh, this has a scan feature, so you can program in presets and then have it scan through them. That's kind of neat. I had it set to to local on the side here. We want DX, which is long distance. Oh, I see. You hit this button over here for meter. It's not a signal meter. It's the how many meters. So now I actually hit 16 meter band.
مدريد فكان دخول مدريد صعبا للغاية بسبب المظاهرة الضخمة التي كانت موجودة
17.715 megahertz. I'm sorry, kilohertz.
إيقاف
Okay, so got a good working.
كل
Hey, shut up. Got a good working little portable Grundig shortwave AM/FM receiver. That's worth the $10 right there. So, all right. Speaking of $10 radios, so there was a time when I was younger when these large portable radios became all the rage, and all these manufacturers were trying to outdo each other by making bigger, grander ones. And the nickname that they gave these boom boxes, which was one of the nicknames, but one of the less politically correct nicknames was the Ghetto Blaster. So I'm walking along, and what do I spy at the tractor show of all places but this big old Magnavox boombox. It's a AM/FM cassette. It's almost got like a subwoofer bass in the middle here, and then your stereo on the side there, I'm assuming. Kind of a cool old radio. It's got some issues, unfortunately. Mainly the condition's not so great. There's a lot of rust in the speaker grill here. So the speaker grill looks really toasty. I'm sure the cassette deck probably needs work because the belts are probably turned to mush. But mainly I just wanted to see whether or not I got lucky and happened to get a working radio. So even though it's not one of the more desirable brand names, Magnavox, this actually still is a collectible radio. So let me see if I can scrounge up a cord for this thing. So I think he wanted $30 to start with, but then I noticed the rust on it. I noticed the missing battery door, and I really kind of, and the fact that it was completely as is. So I really was walking away when he kept dropping the price. Finally, he got down to $10, and I said, "Well, now you're basically forcing me to buy it." So I scored this thing for $10. So this must be the power button up on the top here. Oh, got a bad connection here. This is not the correct cord. Ooh. That is one scratchy volume control. Controls are really dirty. So that, oddly enough, is a working radio. Tape deck, on the other hand, does not appear. Well, hold on. Tape deck appears not to be working though, which I'm not surprised if the belt was bad. But I actually expected maybe the motor would be running, and I think it is. I went by another guy's booth and I spotted this programmable relay, and ended up picking it up and was looking at it. And the guy asked me if I knew what that was, and I told him yeah, and then I explained to him what it was. It's a solid-state digital relay. So lots of times in industrial controllers, you'll have these relays that plug into these octal sockets, these 8-pin sockets that are keyed. And they're made that way so that when you're got a problem with the machine that's, a defective relay, you can just pull out a relay and pop a new one in and be right back in business, right? Well, what this is this will plug into one of those outlets for an octal relay, but unlike a regular relay, which basically just has an on-off state that happens when it gets a signal, this one has this knob on the top and allows you to actually program a delay into the relay. So depending on the application, you might be able to set this so that when it gets a signal, it doesn't close the contacts or send power, because it's digital. So it actually doesn't turn on until so many seconds have elapsed, which can be controlled by this knob up at the top here. Or maybe you'll have an application where when it de-energizes, you want it not to shut off power to the thing that it's supplying right away. You might want a delay for some reason. So that's what that is, and he said since I'm the only person who picked it up all day, I could have it. So I got that for free. I don't know if I'm going to have a use for it or not. And that brings us to the final item, which, again, I was surprised that I was able to get such a good deal on this, because this was not something I bought first thing in the morning. This was actually near the end of my passes through, when I was getting ready to go home, I spotted this sitting at a dealer's table, and I bet you a lot of people walked by this several times and had no idea what it even was. And so I asked the young man who was watching the stuff there about it, and he said, well, he said, my dad, he said, he just went to go get something at the lunch counter thing there. He's coming right back. So I had to wait for him to come back. And lo and behold, initially, I think he told me like 90 bucks or something like that for the thing, or 120, and he gave me the old how expensive these things are online, yada yada yada. In the end, we settled on 65 bucks for this thing. So what is this thing? Well, this is a jeweler's or engraver's vise. So the way this thing works, we have, for an example, he already had a piece of brass plate mounted in here between these pins, okay? So if we had an Allen wrench, we would adjust these here, and that would open and close these jaws so we could close down on a piece like this. Now we have the ability to spin this thing this way, and also because of its ball and socket design, I can swivel this thing into any position. So the idea is, if I'm an engraver and I'm engraving letters or whatever, a design on here, I want to have this versatility of this control of being able to spin it around at different angles and whatnot. And that's what this is for. Now, they make cheaper low-end versions of this for less money. This one is made by the company Lindsay, and it's actually clearly marked on here that it is the Palm Control Vise, with palm control being one word, Palmcontrol. The Palm Control Vise of the Lindsay Tool Company. And so this thing had been sitting there for who knows how many hours before I came along and bought it for 65 bucks. And then wouldn't you know it, I couldn't even get out of that row before somebody spotted me with it and asked me, you know, about it. And I just kind of got the feeling like maybe several people had seen it but not pulled the trigger on it and maybe regretting it. Oh, so in case I didn't mention it, this is made by Lindsay Engraving Tools, which is a USA company. So it's not a foreign made one. I actually can't find any of these that have sold recently or are currently for sale on eBay, but more than likely this is going to be something I'll end up putting on eBay because it's quite a specialty item. Spins smooth as glass like this, and then there's a Allen socket screw right here that allows you to lock this in position if you don't want it to keep spinning freely. So, pretty cool thing. If we took this plate out, you would see there's a series of other holes there, and I do believe that some of these back in the day would even have other accessories that you could use to mount different shaped or sized things. You know, I said this was the final item, but I totally forgot about something. Let's take a look at this other deal I got. Can't remember the last time I bought one of these. This is a anvil, and it's probably about maybe a 40 or, yeah, I'd say probably a 40 or 50 pounder. Measures about a foot long. Seems like it's in decent shape. I do not see any markings on it to indicate a maker or weight or anything like that. So a guy I know who is a big time collector of anvils and vices, he's got a ton of them. He always keeps a ball bearing in his pocket so that when he comes across one of these, he can drop a ball bearing on it, give it what he calls the ball bearing test, see how it rings. Let's see if this rings at all. I doubt it. So the idea with a ball bearing test is that you drop a ball bearing onto the top, and the more it bounces or rings, I guess, is the higher quality the steel is of the anvil. So let's give this a shot. Just kidding, let's try that again for real. Actually sounds pretty good. Shouldn't have done this on the metal tabletop. I don't know. Sounds good to me. Sounds like money is what it is. 50 bucks. Can't remember the last time I bought an anvil for 50 bucks. I mean, it's got to be worth 75 anyways. And it's not like the thing's going to give me a hernia carrying it around, so I figure I'll advertise it for 90 bucks and maybe take 75 or 80 and make myself 25 bucks off the deal. In the meantime, it can just sit around here and be handy for me, you know, if I need to bash on something. Alright guys, that's going to bring this episode to a close. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you're not already a subscriber, please be sure to subscribe, and be sure to hit that notification button so that way you'll know when I post a new video. My next batch of deals is probably right around the corner.